In Oklahoma, a 20-year-old indigenous woman was convicted of manslaughter after having a miscarriage 4 months into pregnancy. She was sentenced to 4 years in prison. In Pennsylvania, another woman was accused of ordering abortion-inducing medication online for her pregnant teenage daughter, who used it to terminate a pregnancy. She was unaware of the state law that required the medicine to be administered by a physician to perform an abortion. She was sentenced in 2014 to serve time 18 months in jail. In Connecticut, a friend of mine miscarried. She was taken to a Catholic hospital that prohibits abortion so they wouldn't induce labor. She almost died of infection. This is what overturning of Roe V Wade means. It means criminalizing pregnant people, and it means a sharp decline in healthcare quality. The U.S. already leads the developed world in maternal mortality rates, and that rate went up in 2019, and it went up even more in 2020. The rate of death during pregnancy and childbirth has actually been steadily rising over the last 3 decades in the U.S. And of course, the rate is highest among Black communities, indigenous communities, immigrant communities, poor communities. Roe v. Wade was overturned today, but the attacks on reproductive rights have been building alongside attacks on LGBTQ+ rights. This isn't a coincidence. As the cost of living gets higher and higher, we're being pushed to have children on stagnating wages. This is class war, and both the Democrats and the Republicans are complicit in this. 3 years after Roe v. Wade, the Hyde Amendment was introduced, a budget amendment that prohibits the use of federal funding for an abortion. The Democrats will talk big about reproductive justice, but they overwhelmingly vote to uphold this amendment every time they've had the opportunity to oppose it, meaning that abortion has been out of reach for poor women for decades. Voting isn't going to do it, and while I greatly admire work people do to get people access to abortion medication, to get people to out-of-state clinics, and to raise funds for people who need an abortion, we shouldn't have to do this. When we talk about protecting abortion rights and body autonomy, we need to look at how they were won in this country in the first place. In the United States, legal abortion was not won by voting. Abortion was won by hundreds of thousands of women and queer people organizing, going into the streets, and building a mass movement demanding free abortion on demand. Abortion was won through the most reactionary institution in this country, with a majority conservative Supreme Court under a Republican president. Because the feminist movement was making demands on its own terms and with its own methods, they got the right. We can look to countries where abortion has been legalized in the last few decades for important lessons. In Argentina, in Colombia, in Ireland, mass mobilizations unwilling to compromise won not only abortion access, but free abortion on demand. Women, cis and trans lead these struggles as women and as workers, and with their organizations, their own demands. The Democratic Party has spent the last 50 years allowing abortion access to become more and more restrictive, saying, vote for us, don't go into the streets, you can trust us. Well, Biden is president now, and look where we are. We need a new strategy, a strategy that understands why abortion was ever legalized. We're trying to build that movement here, so please join this coalition. Thank you.